After famous actor Robert Redford died, his wife Sibylla Zagars finally decided to talk about her husband's sad death. She shared private details about Redford's last days. She painted a clear picture of the movie star's personal problems and the heartbreaking things that led to his death. But what secret story has Sibylla Zagars told? And what secrets of Redford's life stayed hidden until now? Come with us to learn about the real Robert, the person behind the face you saw in movies. A young life tested by sickness. Robert Redford faced many hard times when he was young. His early life had sickness, worry, exploring, and his mother's sad death. These hard things shaped him into a person who was both strong and soft inside. Redford's life changed a lot when he was 11 years old. He got sick with polio. This disease scared families all over the world. Polio wasn't just a sickness. It was a word that made children and parents very afraid. Whole towns felt helpless as they watched what it did. Some kids became disabled. Others needed machines to help them breathe. And sadly, some kids died. Young Redford got sick after swimming in the ocean. The sickness came without warning, but it hit him hard. He had to stay in bed for weeks. He was too weak to move right and had no energy to play like other boys. Luckily, his sickness wasn't too bad. He didn't need the scary iron lung machine that many kids needed. But the memories of those weak days stayed with him forever. The fear of what could have happened never left him. Even after he got better, he couldn't forget about being sick. Later, when he worked on a project about the Salk Institute, he thought about how close he came to getting really hurt by polio. Jonas Salk's vaccine discovery, which came later, seemed like good luck to Redford. It was a turning point where hope beat fear, and it meant a lot to him. Polio also gave him a new chance. While he was getting better, his mother suggested a trip to Yosemite National Park. She hoped the beautiful nature and fresh air would help him see the world differently after being sick. This visit changed his life. Being around huge cliffs and waterfalls woke something up inside him. The big mountains, flowing rivers, and wide skies touched him in a way he never felt before. He didn't just want to look at nature anymore. Now he wanted to be completely surrounded by it. This feeling got stronger during 2 teenage summers when he worked in Yosemite. Walking trails, climbing cliffs, and being in nature was more than just a job. He felt like the park had captured him and became part of who he was. It was a safe place he could visit in his thoughts and memories. Many years later, he would make a movie about Yosemite and say that first trip was when he really noticed how beautiful the world was. After getting his strength back and feeling curious about life, Redford started college with a baseball scholarship. His good grades and sports skills got him into the University of Colorado, which looked like a bright future. Even though he seemed like a talented and energetic young person with lots of opportunities, he felt worried inside. College temptations like parties, drinking, and racing cars kept pulling at him. In the early 1950s, his life almost ended because of excitement. He was driving way too fast, 90 miles per hour, toward Santa Barbara when he lost control and crashed. It could have killed him, but he was lucky again. He walked away without getting hurt, and he realized how fragile life was. But he still had trouble making good choices. The worst thing that happened in his early years came next. When Redford was still a teenager at 18, his mother Martha died. She had always been his biggest supporter and believer. This tragedy hit the young man hard, just as he was becoming an adult. Her death broke something inside him. The pain made him drink even more alcohol, which caused serious problems. He lost his scholarship, couldn't continue school, and gave up the stable life that comes with education. Not only that, he also lost the person who always kept him grounded. With his mother gone, the world felt unsafe and unpredictable. But her belief in him lived on even after she died. She had faith that he was special, and eventually he would learn that she was right. But this didn't stop him from speaking his mind. Stay tuned. A journey through the storm of politics. Robert Redford didn't want to get involved in politics. When he was young, he wasn't interested in political things and thought they were boring. Watching people like Richard Nixon become important in Los Angeles, Redford didn't see anything special about him. If Nixon was what politics looked like, then Redford thought it was dull and had no passion. He stayed away from politics, firmly believing it had no value for him. However, life can surprise you. Redford's view of the world didn't change in the United States, but in Europe instead. When he was 18 years old, he went on an adventure across the ocean. He walked through the streets of Paris, experienced Florence, and found himself surrounded by art, history, and culture that was completely different from what he knew back home. While in Paris, he lived in a charming bohemian neighborhood where students from different places gathered. These young people talked passionately about their countries, equality, and wars. Redford first felt unprepared during the Algerian War, when students had intense debates about politics, fairness, and what governments should do. He listened but admitted to himself that he didn't know much about his own country's politics, let alone world issues. This embarrassed him but also gave him a new start. He started reading a lot, looking at works by American authors and also French and Italian ones. He read both conservative and liberal magazines, studying their viewpoints. Slowly he realized that America's view of itself wasn't the center of the world. Different countries had different opinions about America, from admiration to criticism. This opened his eyes, changing politics from something distant and boring to a powerful force that shaped how societies rose and fell. It became important to him. Even though politics influenced his thoughts, Redford stayed focused on the power of storytelling and art. He believed that movies could dig deeper into human experiences than political speeches. Redford emphasized that the Sundance Film Festival wasn't meant for politicians but for creative people. In his view, Sundance was a place for stories that crossed boundaries and touched the heart of humanity, rather than promoting arguments and fights. He tried to stay away from politics, but history kept pulling him back in. When Donald Trump entered politics in 2015, it brought out strong feelings in Redford. At first he found Trump's boldness and rule-breaking disruptive to the established system. He briefly found it refreshing to see someone shake up traditional ways. However, over time, Redford's feelings changed. In 2018, under Trump's leadership, he no longer felt like he belonged in his homeland. The nation he once loved seemed to have turned into a place of hostility, division, and anger. Leaders promoted discrimination while kind voices seemed to disappear. It was the first time he openly admitted to feeling like a stranger in the United States. In 2019, he became more outspoken. He expressed worry not just about political dangers, but also moral ones. He believed that the core values of the United States, like freedom of speech, freedom of the press, the rule of law, and truth, were being threatened. He worried that this damage could go deep into the heart of the country. He believed that the current leadership put American ideals at risk and called for change. In 2020, during election time, Redford made a rare decision to share his voting choice publicly. Usually, he kept his political preferences private, but this time, he openly supported Joe Biden. For him, it wasn't about supporting a specific political party, but about protecting the nation's soul. He remembered his youth under Franklin D. Roosevelt's leadership, where strong leadership was mixed with kindness. Roosevelt gave Americans hope during times of war and hardship. Redford wanted to see this combination of qualities again. He feared that another term for Trump would damage the nation beyond repair. Redford argued that a leader who can heal the country is essential, especially facing natural disasters, deep social divisions, and a deadly pandemic. He believed that Biden represented the chance for a fresh start. Throughout his career, Redford avoided becoming a traditional politician. Instead of writing laws, running for office, or giving speeches as a leader, he chose to think deeply, have conversations, and encourage critical thinking. His insight into politics wasn't driven by wanting power, but rather by his personal experiences and observations, traveling, actively listening, learning, and watching how society works. As time went on, he began to see politics as not just about governing, but as the driving force behind social progress and individual destinies. His experiences during his lifetime were imprinted on him, including the fights for civil rights, environmental protection, and the turbulent times of conflicting leadership. Each instance showed him that politics involved not only using power, but also caring for people. But the truth about life is that it comes with struggles. What did he face? Let's dive into it. Robert Redford's family loss. Robert Redford had a life full of success and fame. Yet underneath, there was a story of deep personal sadness. Throughout his youth, his family went through heartbreaking events that left a lasting impact on his soul. As a teenager, sadness entered his life in a terrible way. At age 18, he lost his mother Martha to septicemia, a dangerous infection that attacks the bloodstream. Martha had faced difficult pregnancies before, including the devastating loss of twin daughters who didn't survive childbirth. Despite being warned, she chose to give birth to the babies, which led to her health declining and ultimately caused her death. The pain of losing Martha was too much for Robert to handle. She had always been his biggest supporter, and her absence left him feeling lost. By that point, Robert had already felt the sadness of losing someone important. When he was a child, he had felt the sadness of losing his favorite uncle who died in World War II. He had also felt the pain of losing his twin sisters shortly after they were born. With his mother now dead, he found himself overwhelmed by grief. At an age when most young people are usually experiencing happiness and excitement in life. Robert got a baseball scholarship at the University of Colorado, but struggled with grief, causing him to lose focus. Instead of succeeding in baseball, he turned to heavy drinking. His time at the university was chaotic and cut short. Some people think he left on his own, while others believe he was forced to leave. Either way, his school life suffered, leaving him feeling lost. Desperate for a change, he turned to art and decided to start fresh in Europe, hoping to find healing and a new path in life. Years later, tragedy came back to Robert as he started his own family with his first wife, Lola van Wagenen. Their son Scott was born in September 1959, but tragically died from sudden infant death syndrome just 2.5 months later. At the young ages of 21 and 20, Robert and Lola were new parents faced with the devastation of losing their child soon after starting their journey together. Losing a child brings a pain that cannot be measured. Robert admitted that this pain never truly goes away. Even as life continues and more children are born, the memory of the lost child stays in the heart forever. Despite having 3 more children with Lola, Shauna, James, and Amy, the absence of Scott was always present. James, lovingly called Jamie, faced more challenges in life due to his premature birth and ongoing health issues. As Jamie grew up, his health problems got worse, eventually leading to a diagnosis of a rare disease affecting his liver and bile ducts. In 1993, he had 2 liver transplants to fight the illness. Despite the hardships, Jamie showed strength and determination, using his struggles as motivation to help others. He started the James Redford Institute for Transplant Awareness to offer support and information to people dealing with similar health battles. Additionally, Jamie pursued a career in film and became an advocate for environmental causes, showing bravery and compassion in all parts of his life. In October 2020, Robert experienced another tragedy when Jamie passed away at 58 due to cancer. The pain of losing a child is unimaginable, and losing 2 over a lifetime is a grief impossible to put into words. Robert stayed strong and composed. Even facing so many sorrows, he understood that sadness is not something that can just disappear. It stays present, quietly showing up in unexpected moments, quiet thoughts, or in one's overall view of life. Even his marriage was affected by his inner battles. Robert's busy work life and inner demons put stress on his relationship with Lola. Despite being married for 28 years, the couple decided to separate in 1985. However, even after separating, they stayed close, putting their children's well-being first and treasuring the love they once had for each other. Let's take a look at his love life and pain through it. A love that slipped away. Robert Redford experienced both good and bad times in his life, with shining moments in public and private battles kept hidden. One of the most touching parts of his life was his search for love, a journey that brought mixed feelings of happiness and pain. In his early 20s, back in 1958, he met Lola van Wagenen, a cheerful college student. Their connection was instant, beating all odds. They had very little money, with just $300 in savings and having to borrow a car for their wedding. However, their journey was powered by love and hope. The life they lived as newlyweds was simple yet hopeful. While Robert worked hard to build a career in theater, they were thrilled to welcome their first child, a son they named Scott, in 1959. Their joy was intense, but sadly it was short-lived. A devastating blow came when baby Scott died from sudden infant death syndrome. The young couple was left broken, feeling guilty even though it was beyond their control. This loss remained an open wound that lingered, leaving a permanent mark on both of their lives. However, time kept moving. Robert and Lola grew their family by welcoming 3 more children. In 1960, Shauna was born. Then in 1962, their son David James, also known as James, arrived. And finally, in 1970, their youngest child, Amy, was born. Their home quickly became lively with the sounds of laughter and the warmth of family life. Despite the busy routine of raising kids, Robert's career in Hollywood started to take off. He became famous as a well-respected star worldwide, but ultimately found happiness in his main roles of being a father and a husband when the spotlight dimmed. For more than 20 years, Robert and Lola were together, raising children and handling daily tasks while dealing with the challenges that come with fame. Despite their best efforts, their relationship began to fall apart over time. In the mid-1980s, they mutually decided to go their separate ways. The divorce was friendly, with both parties agreeing it was for the best. Although Robert felt sad, he had hoped their love would last forever, showing that even in Hollywood, a marriage could survive the pressures of being in the spotlight. Sometimes, love may not be enough, no matter how strong it is. However, Robert never held any anger towards Lola. Instead, he respected her, appreciating the life they built together and being proud of their children's accomplishments. Their joy came from watching their kids grow into strong, independent people. Unlike many celebrity breakups marked by drama and controversy, their separation was marked by kindness, thoughtfulness, and respect. After his divorce, Robert's romantic life went through various changes. He was romantically linked with several women, although those relationships were usually brief. In 1987, there were rumors about Robert's alleged love affair with Brazilian actress Sônia Braga after their work together on the movie The Milagro Beanfield War, which Robert directed. The gossip continued to spread, but both parties didn't confirm or deny the rumors. In the late 80s, Robert met Swedish actress Lena Olin during the filming of Havana. Their connection went beyond the movie set, but by 1991, their romance started to fade. Their brief but intense relationship added another temporary chapter to his love life. During the mid-1990s, Robert was seen with costume designer Cathy O'Rear. Their appearances at public events seemed happy and relaxed, yet their connection fizzled out shortly after, when love came quietly. After being married for over 20 years and experiencing a period of being alone, Robert Redford found himself in a place where he had achieved success, but still felt empty. Despite having a thriving career and a respected reputation, he craved a deeper connection, something real and intimate. While he had achieved fame, he yearned for the comfort and security of lasting love. He always felt uncomfortable with the idea of dating. It didn't seem to fit into his life smoothly. Talking about it made him feel uneasy, as if it was something strange to him. However, a change happened in 1996 at his beloved Sundance Mountain Resort, a peaceful retreat he established in 1968, surrounded by mountains and forests that showed his passion for nature. Completely by accident, he happened to meet Sibylle Sagars, a German artist and environmental activist, while she was skiing, and he was enjoying his Sundance dream. Their meeting was simple, lacking any Hollywood glamour. Just two people connecting in the peace of nature. Sibylle's amazing honesty made the meeting even more special. She admitted that she had limited knowledge about Robert and his long film career. Curious, she briefly watched some of his movies, but only in pieces. Despite this, she was able to understand his true personality without relying on them. This refreshing view allowed Robert to be seen as more than just a beloved star, but as a regular and genuine person. From that point on, a gentle connection started to grow. Their relationship got stronger in a smooth and peaceful way. They didn't feel the need to show their love publicly. Instead, their love grew through small actions, walks together, meaningful talks, and constant companionship. They often discussed art, nature, and their dreams. Their shared concern for the environment brought them even closer together, giving their love not only personal meaning, but also a greater purpose. In 2009, after a long period of friendship, Robert and Sibylle made their connection official through marriage. The ceremony took place in a quiet and personal way in Hamburg, Germany. Rather than a flashy event, it was a quiet expression of commitment. By marrying Robert, Sibylle also became stepmother to Shauna and Amy, Robert's daughters, creating a harmonious and loving family unit. Robert often called her the one who brought about a new beginning in his life. Her European background, her youthful spirit, and her creativity introduced him to a new way of seeing the world. To him, she wasn't just a companion, but a blessing, adding energy and a different viewpoint to a life full of experiences. Their relationship was not based on seeking fame, but rather grew from their shared values. In 2015, Sibylle started the Way of the Rain, an organization dedicated to promoting environmental awareness, and Robert supported her as the vice president. Their partnership showed that love has the power to create positive change, with their hearts united in pursuit of a bigger goal. But when it was about getting to the best parts, tragedy struck. Stay with us. A farewell that shines forever. As the new millennium began, Robert Redford started to be more choosy about the roles he picked. Instead of taking every project, he focused on stories that had meaning, even if they didn't always make lots of money. In 2000, he starred in The Legend of Bagger Vance, a movie that combined wisdom with quiet elegance. Several years later, in 2007, he both directed and acted in Lions for Lambs with Tom Cruise and Meryl Streep. Despite the lack of good reviews for the film, it showed his courage in addressing controversial topics like politics and war that many people avoided. In 2011, he directed The Conspirator, a film that showed the court case of Mary Surratt, the only woman accused in the tragic assassination of President Abraham Lincoln. Shortly after, he made The Company You Keep in 2012, a story about a former activist living in hiding. Along with actors such as Shia LaBeouf and Julie Christie, Redford kept a mix of entertainment and thought-provoking issues. Then in 2013, he amazed the global audience with an incredible display of talent. In the film All Is Lost, he played a lonely sailor fighting against nature, facing both physical challenges and emotional struggles. The character had very few lines, relying instead on his expressions, movements, and the power of silence. People were amazed by the bravery of his acting, and talk about potential awards began to spread. This performance showed that despite his long career in the industry, he still had the ability to captivate and stir emotions. However, even the most amazing story cannot escape the unstoppable march of time. The news of Robert Redford's death on September 16, 2025 brought a wave of sadness across the globe. At the age of 89, he took his last breath in his beloved home in Sundance, Utah. With the scenic mountains as his backdrop and the peace he created around him, he said a final goodbye. The announcement was soft yet powerful. A request for privacy was made, but sadness spread worldwide like waves in the ocean. Fans grieved, co-workers remembered, and people felt the weight of losing not only a person, but a period of time. He was more than just an actor. He was a storyteller, an idealist, a fighter for truth and beauty. Tributes poured in from various celebrities and public figures. Jane Fonda expressed her love while Meryl Streep praised his bravery. Notable people like Barbara Streisand, Ron Howard, Mark Ruffalo, Morgan Freeman, Ben Stiller, Jamie Lee Curtis, and others highlighted his kindness and compassion. Besides those in the entertainment industry, politicians like Hillary Clinton and authors like Stephen King also recognized his impact, showing that his legacy reached beyond the world of film and television. The media found it hard to capture his brilliance. Variety credited him as the creator of indie movies through his establishment of the Sundance Institute. The Guardian identified him as an important link between traditional cinema and the innovative movement of the 70s. The Los Angeles Times praised him as a symbol of his era. And in France, he was honored as a giant in American culture. No matter what language was used, the message stayed the same. Robert Redford had left a lasting impact not just on the film industry, but also on people's hearts. His timeless appeal didn't come just from his good looks or natural charm. It came from his willingness to take on meaningful roles. He faced themes of corruption, grief, injustice, and human flaws directly, wearing both his actor and director hats. He wanted movies to stay with people long after they left the theater. This goal made him one of the lasting icons of Hollywood, a figure who lit up the industry for over 50 years. The passing of this person is like the final chapter of a beloved book that readers didn't want to end. However, the legacy he has left behind is timeless. He gave audiences lasting movies, complex characters, and a festival that supports new artists. Despite his departure, his artistic vision lives on. Although Robert Redford's time on the stage has come to an end, his influence remains strong. Despite his absence, his artistic vision and dedication to his work serve as inspiration for many. Even though his voice is no longer heard, his impact lives on through his work, memories, and the artists he has inspired. What began at Sundance will continue to resonate for years to come. Robert Redford's presence will always be felt in the world of cinema. What do you think about Robert Redford? How do these newly revealed details impact his legacy? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more engaging stories.